Alright, before we start this video, I must warn y'all, it's full of spoiler alerts. So if you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home, I advise y'all to go watch it, then come back to this movie review so y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it for nobody. So that's the disclaimer. Now here's the movie review. But make sure, if y'all gonna stay, y'all hit that thumbs up and that subscribe button. And now we begin. What's good, y'all? It's your boy Bobby Ortiz, and today or tonight, evening, whatever, we doing a movie review of the movie Spider-Man No Way Home. And boy, let me tell y'all, this movie blew my mind. From the writing to the production to the acting to the storyline, everything was so well put together that it was a masterpiece. Definitely the best Spider-Man movie we have gotten so far. But as far as MCU movies, I put it in my top 5. I wouldn't say top 3, just because it hasn't been out that long and it hasn't really set in yet how great the movie was. But the movie was great. Maybe if I see it 2-3 more times, it might slide into my top 3. But for right now though, top 5 for sure. Definitely number 1 Spider-Man movie all time. Whether it's the TV show, you know, the little cartoon animated series we had from the original with Tobey Maguire, the Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, whoever casted you deserves a Nobel Peace Prize. As you guys, if you guys seen the last Spider-Man movie, Homecoming, at the end when he's fighting Mysterio, and Mysterio is on the camera, and he's letting everybody know who Spider-Man is, and he tells everybody it's Peter Parker, and you see Peter Parker sitting there like, oh my goodness, did this just happen? And that was the end of that scene. So in the beginning of this movie, it's a cut scene to leading up right after that point, right after that point. So it's MJ, played by Zendaya, a beautiful lady. She's standing in the Times Square looking up, and it's the news reporter dude who I can't stand. He's just a hater. I can't stand. From whoever played that role, I really can't stand you. Like, it's like one of those roles to where that from the rest of your life, seeing this person, you're really not gonna stand. Like, he gonna get on your nerves because he played that role so well. So he's sitting there on his little TV news show saying, the Spider-Man is Peter Parker. However, you know, y'all know what voice that he be using. And everybody's asking MJ, like, so is you with Peter Parker? Are you with Spider-Man? You know, is that your boo thing? And she's sitting there looking like, oh. Then it cuts to another scene where Spider-Man is sitting up on one of them high buildings in New York, and he comes in, you know, swings down from one of his webs, pick her up, he web off, do another web, and they swing off. Now they swinging through New York, and the helicopters and stuff chasing them. They go home. The news people they find out where Peter Parker lived. They surrounded his house, his crib, and he's just sitting there like, man, like, this whole time I've been trying to hide my identity just for this reason, and here it is, all out and open in the world. So he's trying to live with it. So they go to school, and everybody's sitting there, you know, fanboying. Oh my God, Peter Parker! Oh my God, you Spider-Man! Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you show me this trick? Oh, let me see you climb up on the wall. And it's bringing a lot of attention in the news. So he has to have security, you know, walk him through the school just for his own protection. Because they don't know, you know what I mean? Try Spider-Man, he gonna mess you up. He gonna rough you up a little bit, you know what I mean? And then so it's a lot of attention coming from him, then to his friends, Ned and MJ, and one of the other guys. He's trying to act like he's Spider-Man's best friend. He ain't never been in the trenches with none of them. With Peter, with MJ, with Ned, you know, they really been in the trenches from the jump. And this dude, he just been on the outside looking in, trying to be, you know, trying to be in their position. So it's a part of the year where they're starting to send out college applications, and they want to go to MIT. And that's their #1 school for all three of them. They want to go to MIT together. So they getting letters, receiving letters, saying sorry due to the recent circumstances that, you know, has transpired, or the recent events that has transpired. We don't think it's a good idea for us to accept you, because they don't want that neck, you know, they don't want all that attention and publicity on the campus, which I understand, but at the same time, they could have used it in the right way and could have really got to that bag. But y'all don't hear that from me though. So they get the letter from MIT, and none of them get in due to the fact that, you know, MJ and Ned knows Peter Parker, and Peter Parker being Spider-Man, so none of them get into MIT. So they sitting there like, bro, like, what are we gonna do? And Peter Parker was like, hey, maybe I can go to Doctor Strange, get this whole thing reversed. Well, Doctor Strange, you know, for the ones who do Marvel fans, y'all know, he's a guy who's a magician pretty much. He can make things happen. He can go back in time. He can change the timeline if he wanted to. He's a great dude, so he can be a little asshole sometimes. So Peter goes to his place and asks him, hey, do you think you can reverse Mysterio, you know, from telling people who I am? Think I can go back in time and stop that from happening? Doctor Strange was like, of course, but, you know, if you want to do this, it's going to be consequences. Explaining the consequences. And Peter kept changing the spell. It's like, well, okay, let's change this. Well, let's add this. Well, let's do this. And Doctor Strange was changing the spell so much, the spell began to rebel, and it almost broke open a whole different dimension. Luckily, he was able to contain it, put it in his little star thingy, and it was like in his little box. All right, so enough of the box talk. Fast forward. So after the whole Doctor Strange and Peter Parker scene happens, somebody tells Peter that he needs to talk to somebody at MIT to see if they can reevaluate them getting into the school. Peter goes, he's on this bridge, finds the person, they talk, and boom. Y'all not gonna believe who show up. And these being the thing, it's his Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. And then Peter takes off his mask, comes to find out, he realizes, oh, wait, that's not my Spider-Man, this is a whole different Spider-Man. So, boom, out of nowhere, you hear the ha 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 ha, whatever, the Green Goblin laugh, and he shows up. But it's only for a split second that he shows up, and then he just takes off. So he's like, whoa, what the heck? So now Peter Parker and his friends are all in this little lair in the bottom of Doctor Strange's house. And they got like this little prison thing set up. So as you guys can tell, when Peter Parker was doing the spell and everything, he opened up the multiverse. So the other two universes with the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, their villains ends up being on Peter Parker's Earth in his universe. Fast forward, Electro shows up. Peter Parker has to fight him. Sandman shows up. And so they're all together which is great. This is how great the storyline is. You guys are gonna see. I'm gonna see how they put this together. Or you guys go see the movie if you haven't already. But for the ones who've seen the movie, y'all know what I'm talking about. So they're all together, and Peter is trying to figure out how he can save these people, how they can work together. So another cutscene. Green Goblin, he's in the alley looking at the mask. You know, he hears voices in his head from the Green Goblin and the professor, scientist, doctor person. I don't want to misquote his name. Dr. Osborn. Yeah. So Dr. Osborn, you know, he's trying to separate himself from the Green Goblin. So he goes to wherever Aunt May works, like a group home, like homeless shelter thing. He's talking to her, but this whole time the Green Goblin is tricking him. So anyways, so this whole time, like I've been saying, they all decide, okay, we're gonna work together. We're gonna create this potion stuff to try to separate these powers from the human. Whole time Green Goblin is playing everybody. And then boom, this fight scene breaks out. So it's Peter Parker fighting the Green Goblin. It's Peter Parker fighting Electro. It's Peter Parker fighting the Lizard. But the Lizard, he didn't really have a big part like that in this movie. But he was, you know, he was still in there. So everybody thinking that Peter Parker was about to play them, and just ends up, you know, killing them and sending them back to where they come from. He was supposed to do that originally, but come to find out, he was being soft, and he didn't. And then in between this fight scene and whatnot, the news dude, his name is J. Jonah Jameson, that guy. So he's over there at the little apartment studio place. I think it's an apartment Spider-Man everybody was at. So he's filming, having the camera dude out there. Police pull up and whatnot. Like I said, so this whole fight scene is going on. And then Aunt May, she gets involved. And here's one of the spoiler alerts, y'all. This was one of the most emotional scenes in the movie. So Green Goblin uses his little hoverboard thingy, and it goes and it like knocks Aunt May off of her feet. So everybody's just thinking, okay, he just knocked her down, you know, off her feet just to knock her out a little bit. So Green Goblin ends up disappearing, taking off, and Spider-Man is there looking at his aunt, trying to, you know, make sure she's okay. And he feels with his right hand that she's bleeding. So he realizes that the hoverboard, you know, from the images, it had stabbed her right in her side. So she's bleeding to death. And they have a heart-to-heart moment. And she recites something that Uncle Ben said in the other two Spider-Man arcs, you know, the original Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man. I can't remember the exact quote, but she tells that to Peter Parker. And that quote is kind of where it ties all three of them together, because they all can relate to that quote. And then she ends up dying, y'all. She died. And the whole movie theater was like, no. Like, she's not supposed to die. And that whole part happened, and the movie theater went crazy. So now Peter Parker, he runs off and he's hiding. And his friends, Ned and MJ, are trying to look for him. So for somehow, Ned has Doctor Strange's magical rings or whatever, so he can, you know, how Doctor Strange, and opening up portals. So Ned was like, okay, help me find Peter Parker, Spider-Man. So he goes like that, and he opens up a portal. Now in this portal, you see an image of somebody in a Spider-Man suit. So you're thinking it's the Peter Parker from the MCU universe, the Tom Holland Peter Parker, and then he waves and he comes and jumps in, and then everybody was looking like, whoa, hold on, you look a little different. So he takes his mask off, y'all, and it's Andrew Garfield. When I mean the theater went crazy, everybody was like, yo, oh my God. Because from the trailer, they didn't show Garfield or Tobey Maguire in the trailer. But everybody had speculations, you know, rumors and everything. And I was like, yo, what? The MJ was like, and he was like, yeah, I'm Peter Parker, but just from a different universe. And then she was like, okay, well, if you Peter Parker, show me you can, if you're Spider-Man, show me you can, you know, climb up against the wall. Show me you can shoot webs or things of that nature. So she forced him to jump up on a roof and then crawl on the ceiling. And then Ned tries to find Peter Parker again. And then somehow, y'all not gonna believe who comes through. Tobey Maguire. Yes, the OG Tobey. But he wasn't in the spider costume. So Andrew Garfield was like, yo, like, okay, you're Spider-Man, but why aren't you in a costume? And then he was like, am I supposed to be in a costume? Like, I know what I can do. Like, I'm just your average human, you know. You're a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's pretty much what he was trying to insinuate. Then he was like, yeah, I seen your friend off in another, he sent him through one of the portals or whatever. So they go and find him sitting on top of the school. You know, they all have a crying moment, and then Tom Holland's Peter, you know, they all have spider senses. So his spider senses start tingling. So he turned around, looks up. Look, he's like, yo, like, y'all like me. And then MJ or Ned was like, yo, this is Peter. Peter meet Peter. Peter meet Peter. So they all have a y'all know the meme, the Spider-Man meme, when they all point at each other like this. They all point at each other. It's like, yo, that's pretty much what happened. So they begin to talk and figure out how did this happen. And Tom Holland was telling me, yeah, I seen the Green Goblin dude, the Electro, you know, Jamie Foxx character. I seen Sandman and Dr. Octavius and everything. So they all join, you know, so they all come, so the three of them come together and be like, hey, we need to figure something out to draw them out and to come find us. So Tom Holland makes a post. He's like, hey, you know, everybody knows I'm Peter Parker or whatever, and the people that are looking for me, y'all know who y'all are. I'm ready. Let's get down. But in the meantime, they all went to the lab and made this serum to fix everybody, like I've been saying, you know, so they can go back to their normal life without they having to kill them, you know, in the other universe. And while they were in the science lab, all three of them had like a heart-to-heart moment, you know, telling them, oh yeah, I have this person and I've lost someone. And Andrew Garfield was telling the other Peters about how he lost his version of MJ and everything. And that moment was cool. And then Andrew Garfield was like, yeah, I'm pretty lame because everybody doesn't like the Amazing Spider-Man. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of people didn't care for it. I loved it. I don't, you know, that's just me. So he's like, yeah, I'm lame. And then Tobey and Tom was like, man, you're not lame. Like, you cool as hell. Like, you just like us. We all cool. And then they all had a moment where Tobey Maguire, you know, he got bit by the spider, so his webs come out of his, you know, out of his skin. And the other two were like, yo, how you do that? And he was like, y'all don't do that? And they was like, no. Because Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, his comes out of his suit. So does Tom Holland's. And then they was like, I can't do that. And then Andrew Garfield was like, where else does your web come out of? Like, he was insinuating, like, does it come out anywhere else? And Toby was like, nah. It don't work like that. It just come out when I go like this, it just come out right here. So they all had like a pretty back and forth moment, you know, dialogue, which is pretty hilarious. And they realized that all three of them are just alike. You know, they've been through the same thing, but they're just from different universes. So the big fight scene happened. You know, they all come out, and then I ain't gonna lie, they was getting beat up. They was getting the hell beat out of them. But they came up with a plan. So one by one, they started sticking them with the serum, and they started losing their abilities. And then Tom Holland began to fight the Green Goblin. I ain't gonna lie, he was serving the Green Goblin, because before, when they had that fight in the building, the Green Goblin was serving Tom Holland, like beating the dog, you know what, out of him. So Tom Holland was getting his get back, and then, you know, he knocked him down. He was about to get his little hoverboard thing that he killed Aunt May with. Tom Holland was finna kill him with it. He was like this. And then Tobey Maguire came and looked at him and was like, hey bro, like, you're better than this. Just because you're gonna kill him, it's not gonna fill that void that you feel because you lost your aunt. Because he knows it, because the person that killed his Uncle Ben ended up getting killed. And he said that it didn't help with anything. Goblin stabs Tobey Maguire in the back, and then he falls to the ground, and then Andrew Garfield comes and helps out and whatnot. Everybody thought Tobey Maguire was finna die, so they was like, but that didn't happen. But anyways, I give the movie, I know I've been giving y'all a lot of information about the movie, but it's still a lot more that I left out. So make sure y'all go check it out. But I would give the movie a 10 out of 10. Movie is dope. Movie is great. But like I was saying, movie, I give it a 10 out of 10. Great, phenomenal movie. That is how you kick off. Not really kick off, because there's been previous stage phase 4 movies. But Spider-Man is one of the bigger Avenger, you know, movies that's been out. So that's a great way to put that stamp on the end of the year with these Marvel movies. And make sure y'all stay, of course, y'all know Marvel has end cut scenes, so there's 2 of them. So make sure y'all stay for those. Those are gems. Y'all need to stay for those, because it's gonna intertwine with what's gonna happen next. Oh, I also forgot to mention, in the beginning, when Peter Parker was trying to find out if he can take legal actions against this whole thing, about his identity being revealed, y'all not gonna believe who was sitting in there with him. Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, made a cameo in the movie. And everybody was like, oh my goodness, we was fist pumping everything, yo. So, hopefully his character gets implemented into the MCU. I'm pretty sure he will, if the rumors and everything are true. So that's another milestone that's gonna take the MCU to a whole nother level. It's bad enough it's already a great universe to be in, a cinematic universe to be in. It's way better than what DC be got going on with their movies. Even though I feel like DC has the better characters, but MCU, the way y'all been doing these movies, y'all been in y'all bag, for real. But everybody did a great job, from Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Jamie Foxx, Zendaya, dude that plays Ned, Aunt May, the person play Aunt May, the person that plays Tony Stark's little assistant. I'm so You know, I don't remember everybody's names, so I don't want to keep taking up y'all time trying to look up their names. But y'all know who I'm talking about. The Green Goblin, Sandman, the little lizard dude. Doctor Strange played a good part, a huge part. He played that Tony Stark part in a way, you know, coming off being stern with Spider-Man, with Peter Parker, but also still being there for him in the long run. But y'all need to make sure y'all go check out Spider-Man. Dope movie. You won't be disappointed. And I'm gonna go see it again, to be honest. The movie was cold. But thank y'all for tuning in. Sorry this video is a little long, but this is my first movie review. Of course, over time I will get better. I won't try to go into so much detail, but just give y'all how I feel about different things. But these scenes were perfect. So it's your boy Bob. Thank y'all for watching. More movie reviews to come. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and that subscribe. And I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace out.